22 purport. Wait, 22, let me read out this. Shrivacha, Ityabhyalikam pranatobja nabhas tam avabhashe vachasamritena suparna paksho parirochamana premasmito dvishana vibhramad bhuv. Maitreya resumed, sincerely extolled in these words, Lord Vishnu, shining very beautifully on the shoulders of Garuda, replied with words as sweet as nectar. His eyebrows moved gracefully as he looked at the sage with a smile full of affection. Darshini, avyalekam nishkapatam. Avyalekam means sincere. See, in ISKCON we use the word sincere, sincerely, but generally with the meaning of seriously, but that is wrong. Sincere does not mean serious. Sincere means non-duplicitous, non-diplomatic, non-duplicitous. As we know from Chaitanya Charitamrita, the Lord's teachings to Rupa Goswami, being duplicitous or diplomatic is one of the weeds. So if we are given some so-called service which requires that you have to be duplicitous or diplomatic, it is better to avoid such so-called services. The word Vachasamritena is significant. Vachasamritena. Vachasa Amritena. With words as sweet as nectar. Whenever the Lord speaks, he speaks from the transcendental world. He does not speak from the material world. Since he is transcendental, his speech is also transcendental, as is his activity. Everything in relation to him is transcendental. The word Amrita refers to one who does not meet with death. Amrita is derived from the word Amrita. The words and activities of the Lord are deathless. Therefore, they are not manufactured of this material world. The sound of this material world and that of the spiritual world are completely different. The sound of the spiritual world is nectarian and eternal, whereas the sound of the material world is hackneyed and subject to end. The sound of the holy name, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, everlastingly increases the enthusiasm of the chanter. If one repeats monotonous material words, he will feel exhausted. But if he chants Hare Krishna 24 hours a day, he will never feel exhausted. Rather, he will feel encouraged to continue chanting more and more. And the Lord replying to the sage Kartama, the word Vachasamritena is specifically mentioned, since he spoke from the transcendental world. He replied in transcendental words, and when he spoke, his eyebrows moved with great affection. When a devotee praises the glories of the Lord is very satisfied. He bestows his transcendental benediction upon the devotee without reservation, because he is always causelessly merciful toward his devotee. 23. Sri Bhagavana Viditva tava chaityam me puraiva samayojitam yadatham atmaniyamai svayaivaham samarchitaha. The Supreme Lord said, having come to know what was in your mind, I have already arranged for that, for which you have worshipped me well through your mental and sensory discipline. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead knows better than us what is appropriate for us, what we need, and so on. That much confidence we should have. Chaityam, meant to be double thought, coming from the word chitta. Chaityam, 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 Chaityam. Dr. Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur edition. Chaityam, double thought. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Yadartham Yasmai Kanyalabhaya Atmaniyamaihi Atmanahanimaihi Shamatamadighi Tvaya Aham Samarchitaha Samyak Pujitaha Tava Chaityam Hardam. Because there is a tendency to double certain consonants allowed in Sanskrit grammar. Chaitya, can it be single? It can be, that I doubt it, because it is derived from the word chitta. It is not taking advantage of the Pandyan doublet, this chitta itself. Okay, Chaityam, Chittavipraya. Me maya samayoji sanghatitam. Vayahameva nanyaha. You have worshipped me. You do not worship anyone else. The Supreme Personality of Godhead in His Paramatma feature is situated in everyone's heart. It therefore knows the past, present, and future of every individual person, as well as his desires, activities, and everything about it. It is stated in Bhagavad Gita that he is seated in the heart as a witness. The personality of Godhead knew the heart's desire of the Brahman, and he had already arranged for the fulfillment of his desires. He never disappoints a sincere devotee, regardless of what he wants, but he never allows anything which will be detrimental to the individual's devotional service. Navaijatu Vishaiva Syat Prajadhyaksham Madarhanam Bhavadvitheshwataram Mai Sangrhitatmanam. The Lord continued, my dear Rishi, or leader of the living entities, for those who serve me in devotion by worshipping me, especially persons like you who have given up everything unto me, there's never any question of frustration. Nacha mad bhajanam kamam tatva eva kevalam upakshiyate किंतु मत पदमपि ददाति इति समाश्वासीः इत्याह सत्यं दिशत्यर्थितम् अर्थितो नाम इत्यादि न्याय. It is not that devotional service to me exhausts itself after bringing about what one desires. Rather, such devotional service will even give the worshipper my abode. So please be consoled. Don't be disappointed. And this is indicated in 5.19.27. Madarhanamatram risha eva tuksha phaladameva na syat. Simply by worshipping me, it will not go in vain. That means one will not get some insignificant result. Kintu ante mat pradameva syat. Rather, at the end, one will attain my abode. Tatrapi mai sangrabita atmanam nihita manasam bhaktanam madhye twadrisheshu tu titaram ityartha. Specifically for those like you whose minds are absorbed in me, devotees who are absorbed in me. Even if he has some desires, one engaged in the service of the Lord is never frustrated. Those engaged in his service are called sakama and akama. Those who worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead with desires for material enjoyment are called sakama. Those devotees who have no material desires for sense gratification but serve the Supreme Lord out of spontaneous love for him are called akama. Sakama devotees are divided into 4 classes. Those in distress, those in need of money, the inquisitive and the wise. Someone worships the Supreme Lord because of bodily or mental distress. Someone else worships the Supreme Lord because he's in need of money. Someone else worships the Lord out of inquisitiveness to know him as he is. And someone wants to know the Lord as a philosopher can know him by the research work of his wisdom. There is no frustration for any of these 4 classes of men. Each is with the desired result of his worship. But of course, we should remember that attainment of the result depends on how intensely they are engaged in devotional service. For instance, one may be engaged in devotional service with a sakama spirit in the form of gunibhuta bhakti. If that is the case, then bahunam janmanam ante gyanaman mam prapadyate will apply. But if he is engaged in pradhanibhuta bhakti, even with a sakama spirit, then it will be a bit faster. And if he is engaged in Kevala Bhakti or Tivra Bhakti, then that is something else. Tivra Bhakti is something else. 25. And here we see he was engaged in Tivra Bhakti, Kevala Bhakti. It is possible to engage in Kevala Bhakti at the same time with the Sakama spirit. So, see, by internal consideration, by consideration of one's motive, uh, devotees of the Lord can be classified as Sarvakama, Mokshakama, or Akama. But by their external engagement, such devotees, of course, we assume that they are not engaged in sinful activities or offenses. Whether they are engaged in Gunibhuta Bhakti or Pradhanibhuta Bhakti or Kevala Bhakti. So you can make a grid 3 by 3. All combinations are possible, actually. So here the combination that we saw in Maharshi Kardama is Sakama or Sarva, not this Sakama, not Mokshakama. Not, of course, he had a desire eventually to become qualified. So that means ultimately it is Akama also. It is not like how we will see later on Daksha. Daksha will pray to Lord Vishnu. He will do austerities also. And he will offer Hamsaguhya prayers. That is proper Sakama. He has no desire to become Nishkama and then Akama. He has no such sense. That is because he had offended Lord Shiva. All these things we will learn later on. But he had offended Lord Shiva in his past life. So when we offend some exalted Vaishnava, the reaction to that, which will be somehow to degrade you, that will continue for more than one life also. So anyway, here coming back to Kardama Muni, he did not have issues like that. He is stuck in a situation because he has these desires, but at the same time he wants to become Nishkama. He wants to become eventually Akama also. So the Lord appreciated that. 25. Prajapati Sutta Samran, Manur Vikhyata Mangalaha, Brahmavardam Yodhi Vasan, Shasti Saptarana Vam Mahim. The Emperor Swayambhuva Manu, the son of Lord Brahma, who is well known for his righteous acts, has his seat in Brahmavrata and rules over the earth with its 7 oceans. Sometimes it is stated that Brahmavarta is a part of Kurukshetra, or that Kurukshetra itself is situated in Brahmavarta because the demigods are recommended to perform spiritual, ritualistic performances in Kurukshetra. But in others' opinion, Brahmavarta is a place in Brahmaloka where Swayambhuva ruled. There are many places on the surface of this earth which are also known in the higher planetary systems. We have places on this planet like Vrindavan, Dwarka, and Mathura, but they are also eternally situated in Krishna Loka. There are many similar names on the surface of the earth, and it may be that in the Bohr age, Swayambhuva Manu ruled this planet as stated here. He rules over the earth with its 7 oceans. Shasti Saptarnavam Mahim. Mangala means one who is elevated in every respect in the opulences of religious performances, ruling power, cleanliness, and all other good qualities. Vikhyata means celebrated. Swayambhuva Manu was celebrated for all good qualities and opulences. For marital purposes, the father's nature has to be taken into consideration. There's so many complicated considerations for marriage and so on. The Lord being omniscient, he knows how to select the right wife. 26. Sachaiha viprarajarsya mahishya shatarupaya ayasyati didrikshustvam parashyo dharma kovida. The day after tomorrow, Brahmana, that celebrated emperor who is expert in religious activities, will come here with his queen, Shatarupa, wishing to see you. So you don't have to go and look for where this Manu is. Manu will come to you. 27. Atmajam asitapangim vayashilam gunanvitam mrigantim patim dasyat yanurupaya te prabho. He has a grown-up daughter whose eyes are black. She is ready for marriage and she has good character and all good qualities. She is also searching for a good husband. My dear sir, her parents will come to see you who are exactly suitable for her just to deliver their daughter as your wife. Now, as we will learn a little later, Kardama Muni already knows about her. She is a Miss Universe, which also we will understand. Of course, she does not walk through for all lusty people to see, but she is herself a super beauty. Yes, question?
Prabhu, in 24th Parpad, when Prabhupada is writing in the Parpad that Sakam devotees are divided into 4 classes. So just I was wondering this, someone like Kardam Muni is desiring for marriage. So in these 4 classes, where it will fit?
Distress. Distress. For those in need of money, that's also, this money is not just money, artharthi. One who's in need of something.
Okay. Anything material needed by will be considered in that category?
Yeah, actually. You can see Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's explanation.
Okay.
Okay. Um, She is also searching for a good husband. Okay, her parents will come just to deliver their daughter as your wife. Vayashiladi Vir Anurupaya. She is fit, she is suitable for you in terms of uh, age, character, and good qualities. Swanurupa Swabhimata. Lakshmi and Narayana are naturally the supreme ideal couple. And Lakshmi is both appropriate for Narayana and pleasing to Lord Narayana. Both of them are pleasing to each other and both of them are also appropriate. These are two different things. They may like each other, but they may not be appropriate. So these are all very complex considerations. The selection of a good husband for a good girl was always entrusted to the parents. Here it is clearly stated that Manu and his wife were coming to see Kardama Muni to offer their daughter because the daughter was well qualified and the parents were searching out a similarly qualified man. This is the duty of parents. Girls are never thrown into the public street to search out their husband. For when girls have grown up and are searching after a boy, they forget to consider whether the boy they select is actually suitable for them for whole life. For whole life. The marriage ashrama is also an ashrama. It's a facility by which one can progress, one can elevate oneself. It is a facility given for those who want to become free from lust, anger, and greed. And so there's a careful arrangement how these things have to be done. There will always be a woman better than one's wife. There will always be a man better than one's husband. So the marriage ashrama, grihastha ashrama, is meant for those who understand that and who still want to take up a vow for the woman. My husband is my husband, and that's all. I will not associate with anyone other than him. And the man is also promising, I will not accept any woman other than my wife. So that vow, that is one of vairagya. Of course, the lowest level of vairagya, you can say. Those who have accepted higher levels of vairagya should not start thinking that they should get married and all that. This is for, instead of becoming an anyabhilashi, it is better to uh, be properly situated. Out of the urge of sex desire, a girl may accept anyone, but if the husband is chosen by the parents, they can consider who is to be selected and who is not. According to the Vedic system, therefore, the girl is given over to a suitable boy by the parents. She is never allowed to select her own husband independently. So it's it is like a game. Like in a game, there are so many rules, and you have to win the game while following the rules. And it is not that people don't like to follow rules. Look at sports. In sports, both the players and others, they all like following the rules. So that is the idea. So there are hundreds of rules: what husband can do, what he should do, what he should not do, what wife can do, what she should do, what she should not do. Since the rules are set by a third party, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, neither the husband nor the wife need to fight with each other on you should follow, you should do what I say, I should do what you say. This is all for those who want to attain karma phala or jnana phala or yoga phala, bhakti phala, and so on. It is not for those who don't want any of these things and simply want to enjoy life like animals. For these people, married life is one step superior to 100% animalistic life. In fact, there are a number of animals, I am told, they also stick to their mates. 28. Samahitam te hridayam yatreman parivatsara sa tvam brahman nripavatu kamam asu bhajishyati. That princess or holy sage will be just the type you have been thinking of in your heart for all these long years. She will soon be yours and will serve you to your heart's content. Yatra. No, this is yet. Wait, I need to look at the unwind. Sacheha. What is this? Not Iman Parivatsaran Dasha Sahasra Samvatsara Paryantam Yatra Yasyam Bharyayam Te Hridayam Samahitam Abhisandanena Sthitam Sa Nrupavadu Rajakanya Tvam Ashu Shigrameva Kama Yatecham Bhajishyati भार्जार निमित्त तुम्हार चित्त बहुवत्सर अवधि समाहित आसक्त হইয়াছে हे ब्रह्म সেই রাজকন্যা অন অতি বিলম্বেই তোমাকে ভজনা করিবেন অর্থাৎ প্রতিরূপে গ্রহণ করিবেন. So you have been thinking in your mind for so many thousands of years of the type of wife that you need. This is that type of a wife. She will herself come and serve you. यत्र यस्यां तव हृदयं समाहितम् आसक्तं विपवधू Rajakanya. She will be a princess. The Lord awards all benedictions according to the heart's desire of a devotee. So the Lord informed Kardamuni, the girl who is coming to be married with you is a princess, the daughter of Emperor Swayambhuva, and so just suitable for your purpose. Only by God's grace can one get a nice wife just as he desires. Similarly, it is only by God's grace that a girl gets a husband suitable to her heart. Thus it is said that if we pray to the Supreme Lord in every transaction of our material existence, everything will be done very nicely and just suitable to our heart's desire. In other words, in all circumstances, we must take shelter of the Supreme Personality of God and depend completely on His decision. Man proposes, God disposes. The fulfillment of desires, therefore, should be entrusted to the Supreme Personality of God. That is the nicest solution. Muni desired only a wife, but because he was a devotee of the Lord selected a wife for him who was the emperor's daughter, a princess. Thus, Muni got a wife beyond his expectation. If we depend on the choice of the Supreme Personality of God, we will receive benedictions in greater opulence than we desire. It is also significantly noted here that Muni was a Brahmana, whereas Emperor Swayambhuva was a Kshatriya. Therefore, intercaste marriage was current even in those days. The system was that a Brahmana could marry the daughter of a Kshatriya, but a Kshatriya could not marry the daughter of a Brahmana. We have evidences from the history of the Vedic age that Shukracharya offered his daughter to Maharaj Yayati, but the king had to refuse to marry the daughter of a Brahmana. Only with the special permission of the Brahmana could they marry. Thus, intercaste marriage was not prohibited in the olden days, many millions of years ago, but there was a regular system of social behavior. What is this? Can you explain these different types of bhakti in a little detailed way? What? It's just very simple. There's Gunibhuta Bhakti, Pradhanibhuta Bhakti, Kevala Bhakti. We saw that already in Bhagavad Gita. I think what you should do is you should watch all the Bhagavad Gita videos. That's what you should do. I heard there are two Goloka Vrindavans. There is one Goloka Vaikuntha, and there's Goloka Vrindavan. It is said that we do bhakti, that it is said that when we do bhakti, everything will be provided. Prabhupada says, then why again management is always worrying about how to get Lakshmi, fundraising and all? That you should ask those managers. In Kali Yuga, boys and girls are getting spoiled from childhood itself. Then what? What am I supposed to say? The selection of a good husband for a good girl was always entrusted to the parents. I think this does not work in Kali Yuga. It looks like only with the special permission of the Brahmana could they marry. What is it? That is he made some arrangements. This comes in Bhagavatam a little bit and is detailed in Mahabharata. This history of how Shukracharya offered his daughter to Yayati. Yeah, it comes Adi Parva itself, Mahabharata.
Prabhu, regarding this Goloka, I was
Mm.
hearing yesterday class in there are two types of Goloka in where one Lord Krishna and Radharani is married, and in another place they does not marry.
No, it's more than that. And there's one in which they are worshipped in opulence. It is a Vaikuntha. Krishna Chakravarti Thakur talks about it in this Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu commentary. Whereas there is Goloka Vrindavan. Okay?
And then about this question that boys and girls are spoiling from childhood itself only
Yes.
now in this Kali Yuga.
Yes.
So this arranged system marriage, these things and does not work.
But it is, if you look at the Western model, that is working even less. You do in search for statistics, how many of these Western, first of all, how many of them marry? That's the first question. Mostly people don't marry, they just engage in casual sex or live in relationships. So the amount of population who's marrying in a Western country itself is less. Then amongst those who marry, how many of them stick for whole life? That itself is a small percentage, or at least uh, about 50% or something. So compare that to third world countries, the so-called underdeveloped countries. See how many marriages are stable. Generally, it is done through choice. Some trusted caretaker makes all these arrangements. So which is better? 29. Yat atma bhritam viryam navadha prasavishyati virye tvadiye rishaya adhasyantyam satmanaha. She will bring forth 9 daughters from the seed sown in her by you. Through the daughters you beget, the sages will duly beget children. Te viryam atmani bhritam dhritam navadha vapatya rupa ityarthaha. Virya prasuta su kanya su अंजसा आत्मनः वीर्यम् आधास्यन्ति 30 त्वं च सम्यग् अनुष्ठाय निदेशं म उषत्तमः Mai tirthi kritashesha kriyartho mam prapatsyaste. With your heart cleansed by properly carrying out my command, resigning to me the fruits of all your acts, you will finally attain to me. Anugrahayastu iti yad prarthitam tatraha tvamcha iti dvamya. He had prayed, Anugrahayastu, let there be your Lordship's mercy on me. So now that is referred to here. And the Lord answers this. He had asked, please have compassion upon me, and that in response to that, the Lord says that yes, you will come back to me. That is the mercy that Kardama wanted. The mercy is not simply just a wife. He is so powerful. First of all, he is he can produce, he can himself create. As you can see, you will see, he will create so many maid servants for his wife. He could have created a wife. So what he has a little bit of Brahma's power. He can empower souls with bodies. So if he can do that with maids, then he could do it with the wife also. But he did not do it. He could have gone to Uma, who is simply a sister-in-law. He did not even do that. He wants it from the Lord only. Because he is thinking, how can my material desires be fulfilled in such a manner that the material desires go away? Tirtham patram, tena danam lakshiyate. Okay. Danam lakshiyate. Mai samarpita sarva karma phala ityartha. Here the words Tirthi Krita Shesha Kriyartha are significant. Tirtha means a sanctified place where charity is given. People used to go to places of pilgrimage and give munificently in charity. This system is still current. Therefore, the Lord said, in order to sanctify your activities and the results of your actions, you will offer everything unto me. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you sacrifice, the result should be given to me only. In another place in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord said, I'm the enjoyer of all sacrifices, all penances, everything done for the welfare of mankind or society. All activities, therefore, whether for the welfare of family, society, country, or humanity at large, must be performed in Krishna consciousness. That is the instruction given by the Lord to Kardama. Maharaj Yudhishthir welcomed Narada Muni. Wherever you are present, that place becomes sanctified because the Lord Himself is always seated in your heart. Similarly, if we act in Krishna consciousness under the direction of the Lord and His representative, then everything is sanctified. This is the indication given to Kardama Muni, who acted on it and therefore received the most excellent wife and child, as will be disclosed in later verses. 31. Tattva dayam cha jiveshu, tattva cha bhayam atmavan, mai atmanam sahajagat, drakshasyatman chapi mam. Showing compassion to all living entities, you will attain self-realization, giving assurance of safety to all. You will perceive your own self as well as all the universes in me and myself in you. Garhastya. What is this? Is 31. Okay. Garhastya. Anna achhadanadidanehi jiveshu dayam kritva. When in your household life, it's not Garhastya, it's Garhastya. Yes. Something went wrong. Can you hear me? Can anyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes.
But
we can't see your screen currently.
this thing got disconnected and it's now trying to reconnect.
Now it is, I think, reconnected. Your computer. But you'll have to share a screen. It's currently coming. Yeah, it came.
Okay. Garhastye anna achhadana vinanehi Jiveshu dayam kritva. In your household life, you will give in charity to the jivas, food, clothing, and so on, as appropriate. Vairagye abhayam yad bhakti upadeshena ityartha. And then when you leave household life and you become a vairagi, then you will give abhaya. Abhaya means freedom from fear. That you will do it by instructing them to engage in Bhagavad Bhakti, ever increasing Bhagavad Bhakti. Mayi Adhisthana Tattva, Parameshware, Sarvam Jagat, Atma Sahitam Asti iti yat Shastra Drishtya, Sampratam Janasi, Tadeva Tada, Sakshadeva Drakshyasi. Now, through the knowledge of the scriptures, you have the understanding that the entire universe, including yourself, exists in me, the Supreme Lord, who is the foundation for everything. But at that time, you will realize this. Prathama Mahadipurusham Karanarnavashayinam Sahasra Shirshadi Rupam Mam Drakshyasi. First of all, you will see the first Purusha, Karanarnavashayi. You will see me in the form of that 1,000-headed Karanarnavashayi, first Purusha. Tataha tasya eva mama Romagupeshu Anantakoti Brahmandani Atmasahitani Sakshad Rakshyasi. And then at that time, you will see yourself within the unlimited crores of Brahmandas in my hair pores. There you will see that the entire universe is resting inside. That you will see, and you will see yourself also being part of the universe there. One particular universe, obviously. Tatha Atmani Swasmin Antaryamanam Mam Santam Adhuna Janasya. Right now you know that I am situated, you know and you understand. It means theoretical knowledge. That I am existing as the Antaryami, as the inner controller within yourself. Tadatu, at that time, Kechit Swadehanta Hridayavakashi Pradeshavatram Purusham Vasantam Chaturbhujam Kancha Rathanga Shankha Gadadharam Dharanaya Smaranti Iti Dvitiya Skandoktam Tritiya Purusham Kshirodanatham Mameva Sakshad Rakshyasi Iti Srijya Asrijyam Sarvam Vastu Tvam Aham Darshayishyami Iti Phalitortha. Then as noted in the second canto, at that time you will see the third Purusha, the Lord of the milk ocean, Kshirodakashayi Vishnu, myself in that form, and you will directly see me. In other words, I will show you everything from the first Purusha to the third Purusha, everything I will show you. Everything that has been created, everything that is not created. That is the point. Yadva. Alternatively, this means my Putrabhute Shri Yashoda Eva Sahajagat Atmanam Darshyasi. Like Yashoda, you will see you will see everything in me. Everything meaning everything including yourself and me. Just like Yashoda Devi, she saw. She saw when Krishna opened his mouth. Literally, she saw the whole universe and everything in existence inside Krishna's mouth. And in that universe, one of the universes, Yashoda herself is there and she is watching Krishna open his mouth inside also. Tatha Atmanicha api mam Shri Gopi iva tam kachim netrarandhrena hridikritya mimilyacha Bulakangul Yapaguhyas Yogi Vananta Sampluta Ityukta Ritya Drakshyasi. And just as one of the great young gopis noted in 10.32.8, who could not go for Rasa Leela. So she closed her eyes and she could see the Supreme Lord himself. She saw the Supreme Lord in her heart. So like that, you will also see me in your heart. As far as I understand, it is referring to that the gopi who could not go for Rasa Leela. The simple process of self-realization for every living entity is described here. The first principle to be understood is that this world is a product of the Supreme Will. There is an identity of this world with the Supreme Lord. This identity is accepted in a misconceived way by the impersonalists. They say that the Supreme Absolute Truth, transforming himself into the universe, loses his separate existence. Thus, they accept the world and everything in it to be the Lord. That is pantheism, wherein everything is considered to be the Lord. This is the view of the impersonalist. But those who are personal devotees of the Lord take everything to be the property of the Supreme Lord. Everything, whatever we see, is a manifestation of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, everything should be engaged in the service of the Lord. This is oneness. The difference between the impersonalist and the personalist is that the impersonalist does not accept the separate existence of the Lord, but the personalist accepts the Lord. He understands that although he distributes himself in so many ways, he has a separate personal existence. This is described in Bhagavad Gita. I am spread all over the universe in my impersonal form. Everything is resting on me, but I am not present. There's a nice example regarding the sun and the sunshine. The sun by its sunshine is spread all over the universe, and all the planets rest on the sunshine. But all the planets are different from the sun planet. One cannot say that because the planets are resting on the sunshine, these planets are also the sun. Similarly, the impersonal or pantheistic view that everything is God is not a very intelligent proposal. The real position, as explained by the Lord himself, is that although nothing can exist without him, it is not a fact that everything is him. He is different from everything. So here also the Lord says, you will see everything in the world to be non-different from me. This means that everything should be considered a product of the Lord's energy. Therefore, everything should be employed in the service of the Lord. One's energy should be utilized for one's self-interest. That is the perfection of the energy. This energy can be utilized for real self-interest if one is compassionate. A person in Krishna consciousness, the devotee of the Lord, is always compassionate. He is not satisfied that only he himself is a devotee, but he tries to distribute the knowledge of devotional service to everyone. There are many devotees of the Lord who faced many risks in distributing the devotion service of the Lord to people in general. That should be done. It is also said that a person who goes to the temple of the Lord and worships with great devotion, but who does not show sympathy to people in general or show respect to other devotees, is considered to be a third-class devotee. The second-class devotee is he who is merciful and compassionate to the fallen soul. The second-class devotee is always cognizant of his position as an eternal servant of the Lord. He therefore makes friendships with the devotees of the Lord, acts compassionately toward the general public in teaching them devotional service, and refuses to cooperate or associate with non-devotees. As long as one is not compassionate to people in general in his devotional service to the Lord, he is a third-class devotee. A first-class devotee gives assurance to every living being that there is no fear of this material existence. Let us live in Krishna consciousness and conquer the nations of material existence. Aham tarishyami durantaparam tamo mukundangri nishevayaiva. That is what he says. I myself, I will attain the highest perfection simply by engaging in devotion service to Krishna as taught in the scriptures, and I will not engage in any other activity. Pious activity I will not engage in, sinful activity I will not engage in, nothing else I will do. It is indicated here that Muni was directed by the Lord to be very compassionate and liberal in his household life, and to give assurance to the people in his renounced life. The sannyasi, one in the renounced order of life, is meant to give enlightenment to the people. He should travel, going from home to enlighten. The householder, by the spell of Maya, becomes absorbed in family affairs and forgets his relationship with Krishna. If he dies in forgetfulness like the cats and dogs, then his life is spoiled. It is the duty of a sannyasi, therefore, to go and awaken the forgetful souls with enlightenment of their eternal relationship with the Lord and to engage them in devotional service. The devotee should show mercy to the fallen souls and also give them the assurance of fearlessness. As soon as one becomes a devotee of the Lord, he is convinced that he is protected by the Lord. Fear itself is afraid of the Lord. Therefore, what has he to do with fearlessness? To award fearlessness to the common man is the greatest act of charity. A sannyasi, or one who is in the renounced order of life, should wander from door to door, from village to village, from town to town, and from country to country, all over the world as far as he is able to travel. Enlighten the householders about Krishna consciousness. A person who is a householder but is initiated by a sannyasi has the duty to spread Krishna consciousness at home. As far as possible, he should call his friends and neighbors to his house and hold classes in Krishna consciousness. Holding a class means chanting the holy name of Krishna and speaking from Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam. There are immense literatures for spreading Krishna consciousness. And it is the duty of each and every householder to learn about Krishna from his sannyasi spiritual master. There is a division of labor in the Lord's service. The householder's duty is to earn money because the sannyasi is not supposed to earn money, but is completely dependent on the householder. The householder should earn money by business or by profession and spend at least 50% of his income to spread Krishna consciousness. 25% he can spend for his family. 25% he should save to meet emergencies. This example was shown by Rupa Goswami, so devotees should follow it. Actually, to be one with the Supreme Lord means to be one with the interest of the Lord. Becoming one with the Supreme Lord does not imply becoming as great as the Supreme Lord. It is impossible. The part is never equal to the whole. The living entity is always a minute part. Therefore, his oneness with the Lord is that he is interested in the one interest of the Lord. The Lord wants every living entity to always think about him, to be his devotee, and to always worship him. This is clearly stated in Bhagavad Gita. Manmana bhava madbhakta. Krishna wants everyone always to think of him. Everyone should always offer obeisances to Krishna. This is the will of the Supreme Lord. And devotee should try to fulfill his desire. Since the Lord is unlimited, his desire is also unlimited. There is no stoppage. Therefore, the service of the devotee is also unlimited. In the transcendental world, there is unlimited competition between the Lord and the servitor. The Lord wants to fulfill his desires unlimitedly, and the devotee also serves him to fulfill his unlimited desires. There's an unlimited oneness of interest between the Lord and his devotee. Okay, fine. 32. Saha aham swamsha kalaya tvad mahamne tava kshetre devahutyam praneshye tattva samhitam. O great sage, I shall manifest my own plenary portion through your wife Devahuti, along with your 9 daughters, and I shall instruct her in the system of philosophy that deals with the ultimate principles or categories. Kimcha anyam cha kanchid anandasya vartam shunu ityaha. And let me give you a happy news. Let me tell you something else, which will be a happy news for you. Listen to this. Tvad Tvat Kanya Apatya Vrindena Saha Avirbhuya Irisheshaha. Tvat Viryana means that along with the daughters that are born to you as your offspring from your sin, I will appear. A very fine explanation. Herein, the word Swamsha Kalaya indicates that the Lord would appear as a son of Devahuti and Kardamani as Kapila Deva. Swamsha Kalaya. 1 minute, let me check if Sudhi Thakur has given any. Okay. Here in the word, Swamsha Kalaya indicate that the Lord would appear as a son of Devahuti and Kardamani as Kapila Deva, the first propounder of the Sankhya philosophy, which is mentioned here as Tattva Samhita. This is the original Sankhya philosophy. This is not what is commonly referred to as Sankhya philosophy or Sankhya Darshan. The Lord foretold to Kardamani that he would appear in his incarnation, Kapila Deva, and would propagate the philosophy of Sankhya. Sankhya philosophy is very well known in the world as propagated by another Kapila Deva. But that Sankhya philosophy is different from the Sankhya which is propounded by the Lord himself. There are 2 kinds of Sankhya philosophy. One is godless Sankhya philosophy, and the other is godly Sankhya philosophy. In the Sankhya propagated by Kapila Deva, son of Devahuti, is godly philosophy. There are different manifestations of the Lord. He is one, but he has become many. He divides himself into 2 different expansions, one called Kala and the other Vibhinamsha. Ordinary living entities are called Vibhinamsha expansions. The unlimited expansions of Vishnu Tattva, such as Vamana, Govinda, Narayana, Pradyumna, Vasudeva, and Ananta, are called Swamsha Kala. Swamsha refers to a direct expansion. And Kala denotes an expansion from the expansion of the original Lord. Baladev is an expansion of Krishna, and from Baladev, the next expansion is Sankarshana. The Sankarshana is a Kala, but Baladev is a Swamsha. There's no difference, however, among them. This is very nicely explained in the Brahma Samhita 5.46. Deepacharevaki dashantaram abhyupetya. With one candle, one may light a second candle, with a second, a third, and then a fourth. And in this way, one can light up thousands of candles. And no candle is inferior to another in distributing light. Every candle has the full candle power, but there is still the distinction that one candle is the first, another the second, another the third, and another the fourth. Similarly, there's no difference between the immediate expansion of the Lord and his secondary expansion. The Lord's names are considered in exactly the same way. Since the Lord is absolute, his name, his form, his pastimes, his paraphernalia, and his qualities all have the same potency. In the absolute world, the name Krishna is a transcendental sound representation of the Lord. There's no difference in potency between his qualities, name, form, etc. If we chant the name of the Lord Hare Krishna, that has as much potency as the Lord himself. There is no difference in potency between the form of the Lord whom we worship and the form of the Lord in the temple. One should not think that one is worshipping a doll or statue of the Lord, even if others consider it to be a statue, because there is no difference in potency. One gets the same result by worshipping the statue of the Lord or the Lord himself. This is the science of Krishna consciousness. Of course, one has to worship the Lord. Spotless devotion, Uttama Bhakti. Then the Lord reveals himself to be not different from that deity or that statue or doll, whatever you say. Otherwise, he will make you think that he is in the deity. This is a point noted by Jiva Goswami in his 11th canto commentary later on. Okay, question?
So in the analogy of this candle, Deepachireva, so Prabhupada explains that the analogy is that the one candle is lit first and then the other. But in case of Lord and his expansions, we see that they all are coexisting. So how this analogy?
They are?
Yes, sir.
They are what?
How the analogy is proper, like, because in there is difference, no? The candles, one candle is lit first and the other is lit next. But in case of Lord, we see that the Lord and his expansions are coexisting.
Then why this concept of source, origin? Why there is one form and another form? That is in terms of manifestation to the conditioned souls. There's also another explanation which is nicely provided in our line. Originally, it was spelled out by Vyasatirtha of the Madhva line. We have this concept of Swamsha. And then there's the source of that Swamsha, Swamshi, Swamshin, or Swamshi. What is the distinction between the Swamsha and Swamshi, the source? Why distinguish between these two? It is because when we say that he is an Amsha, he only manifests a portion of those qualities that he possesses. The Swamsha also possesses the same number of qualities, but he does not manifest all those qualities. So to make us understand that, there is this concept of this usage of the expressions Swamsha, Swamshi, and so on. As far as why this is first, this is next, this is next, this is next, that can be simply understood to be the forms that the Lord, the sequence through which the Lord manifests himself to the conditioned souls in this universe, to appropriate those who have appropriate piety to perceive that. It is more in terms of qualities in Vaikuntha, but in this world, it is in terms of manifestation. Anyway, this will become clear as we proceed further. Okay. Okay. 33. Maitreya Vacha. एवं तम अनुभाष्याथ भगवान प्रत्यक्षजः जगाम बिंदु सरस सरस्वत्या परिश्रितात. Maitreya went on, thus having spoken to Gardamuni, the Lord who reveals himself only when the senses are in Krishna consciousness, departed from that lake called Bindusaro, which was encircled by the river Saraswati. Pratyakshajah, one who is perceived directly by the senses. Pratyak bhuteshu aksheshu jayate avirbhavati iti saha. The Lord who reveals himself to one's own senses. Saraswatya, Nadya, Parishita, Pariveshtita. Bindu Sarovar was encircled by the river Saraswati. One word in this verse is very significant. The Lord is stated here to be Pratyakshaya. He is imperceptible to material senses, but still he can be seen. This appears to be contradictory. We have material senses, so how can we see the Supreme Lord? He is called Adhokshaja, which means that he cannot be seen by the material senses. Akshaja means knowledge perceived by material senses. Because the Lord is not an object that can be understood by speculation with our material senses, he is also called Ajita. He will conquer, but no one can conquer him. What does it mean then that still he can be seen? It is explained that no one can hear the transcendental name of Krishna. No one can understand his transcendental form. And no one can assimilate his transcendental pastimes. It is not possible. Then how is it possible that he can be seen and understood when one is trained in devotional service and renders service unto him? Gradually one's senses are purified of material contamination. When one's senses are thus purified, then one can see, one can understand, one can hear, and so on. The purification of the material senses and perception of the transcendental form, name, and quality of Krishna are combined together in one word, Pratyakshaya, which is used here. अतः श्री कृष्ण नामादि न भवेत् ग्राह्यमिन्द्रियैः सेवोमुखैः जिह्वादौ स्वयमेव स्फुरत्यतः. 34. निरीक्षतस्तस्य ययावशेष सिद्धेश्वराभिष्कृतसिद्धमार्गः आकर्णयन् पत्र रथेन्द्रपक्षे उच्चारितं स्तोमम् उदीर्ण साम. While the sage stood looking on, the Lord left by the pathway leading to Vaikuntha, a path extolled by all great liberated souls. The sage stood listening as the hymns forming the basis of the Samaveda were vibrated by the flapping wings of the Lord's carrier, Garuda. Tasya kardamasya nirikshamanasya sataha. Asheshaihi. Why the sage stood looking on? Asheshaihi siddheshwarai abhishtutaha siddhamargaha vaikunthamargaha yasya sa. The Lord left by the pathway leading to Vaikuntha, that path, a path extolled by the lords of the liberated souls, the great liberated souls. Patra Rathendraha Garudaha, the king of birds, refers to Garuda. Tasya Pakshaihi Uchcharitam Stomam Rik Samudayam Shrinvan. So he heard Vedic hymns which were articulated from his wings. Idrisham, what kind of hymns? Udirnam Abhivyaktam Sama Yat Tat Swarupam Samasa Pathe Stoma Udirna Sama. So Ucharita Stoma. Ucharita Stoma. Okay. There's another alternate reading. Ucharita Stoma. Then how? Okay. Ucharita Stoma Udirna Pathe. Udirna Sama. Ucharita Stoma. Stotriya Samudaya. Yasya Tatha Bhuta. Yet Udirna Sama. Tat Brihad Rathantar Paksha Iti Shruti. You know from the Shruti that his two wings are two great, are the great hymns of the Vedas. So all of these hymns, they are useful for glorifying the Supreme Lord. Such hymns. In the Vedic literature, it is stated that the two wings of the transcendental bird, Garuda, who carries the Lord everywhere, are two divisions of the Samaveda, known as Brihat and Rathantara. Garuda works as the carrier of the Lord. Therefore, he is considered the transcendental prince of all carriers. With his two wings, Garuda began to vibrate the Samaveda, which is chanted by great sages to pacify the Lord. The Lord is worshipped by Brahma, by Lord Shiva, by Garuda, and other demigods with selected poems. Great sages worship him with the hymns of Vedic literature such as Upanishads and Samaveda. These Samaveda utterances are automatically heard by the devotee when another great devotee of the Lord Garuda flaps his wings. It is clearly stated here that the sage Kardama began to look to the path by which the Lord was being carried to Vaikuntha. It is thus confirmed that the Lord descends from his abode Vaikuntha in the spiritual sky and is carried by Garuda. The path which leads to Vaikuntha is not worshipped by the ordinary class of transcendentalists. Only those who are already liberated from material bondage can become devotees of the Lord. Those who are not liberated from material bondage cannot understand transcendental devotion service. In Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly stated, Yatatam api siddhana. There are many persons who are trying to attain perfection by striving for liberation from material bondage. Those who are actually liberated are called Brahmabhuta or Siddha. Only the Siddhas or persons liberated from material bondage can become devotees. This is because we know from Bhagavad Gita, Mad Bhaktim Lavate Param. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Anyone who is engaged in Krishna consciousness or devotional service is already liberated from the influence of the modes of material nature. Sagunan Samatityayitan Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate. Here it is also confirmed that the path of devotional service is worshipped by liberated persons, not the conditioned souls. The conditioned soul cannot understand the devotional service of the Lord. Garuda Muni was a liberated soul who saw the Supreme Lord in person, face to face. There was no doubt that he was liberated. And thus he could see Garuda carrying the Lord on the way to Vaikuntha. And hear the flapping of his wings, vibrating the sound of Hare Krishna, the essence of the Samaveda. 35. अथ संप्रस्थिते शुक्ले कर्दमो भगवान ऋषि आस्ते स्म बिंदु सरसी tam kalam pratipalayan. Then after the departure of the Lord, the worshipful sage Kardama stayed on the bank of Bindu Sarovar, awaiting the time of which the Lord had spoken. Tam kalam parashvetyuktam pratikshamanaha. The Lord had said, day after tomorrow he is going to come, so he was waiting. 36. Manusyandanamastaya Shata Kaudha Parichadam Aropya Swam Duhitaram Sabharyah Paryatan Mahim. This is a portion of a sentence. It's a fragment of a sentence. Swayambhuva Manu, with his wife, mounted his chariot, which was decorated with golden ornaments. Placing his daughter on it with them, he began traveling all over the earth. The Emperor Manu, as a great ruler of the world, could have engaged an agent to find a suitable husband for his daughter, but because he loved her just as a father should, he himself left his state on a golden chariot with only his wife to find a suitable husband. 37. Tasmin Sudhanvan Nahani Bhagavan Yat Samah Dishat Upayad Ashrama Padam Mune Shanta Vratasya Tat. O Vidura, they reached the hermitage of the sage, who had just completed his vows of austerity on the very day foretold by the Lord. So the sage was, he had his periodical vows for every day. So he had completed his vow on the day. So he did not interrupt in his worship of the Lord. That is the idea. Yad daho Bhagavan Samadishat Tasmin Hani Mahim Paritan Mune Rashma Padam Upayat Iti Anvaya. So he arrived exactly on that day that the Supreme Personality of Godhead had said he would arrive. Hey Sudhanman, hey Vidura. Sudhanman, so great. Gauranga Vidura. 38, 39. Yasmin Bhagavato Netra Nyapatan Ashubindavaha Kripaya Samparitasya Prapanne Pitaya no Prapanne Pitaya Visham Tadvai Binda Saronama Saraswatya Pariplutam Punyam Shivam Mritajalam Maharshi Ganasevitam. The holy lake Bindusarovar, fronted by the waters of the river Saraswati, was resorted to by hosts of eminent sages. Its holy water was not only auspicious but as sweet as nectar. It was called Bindusarovar because drops of tears had fallen there from the eyes of the Lord, who was overwhelmed by extreme compassion for the sage who had sought his protection. Ashramam Varnayati. Yasminiti Saptabhishloki. The ashram of Kardamuni is now described in 7 verses, beginning with text 38. Prapanne, Kardame. The Lord was overwhelmed by compassion for the surrendered soul of the man. Kardama underwent austerities to gain the causeless mercy of the Lord. And when the Lord arrived there, he was so compassionate that in pleasure he shed tears, which became Bindu Sarovar. Bindu Sarovar is therefore worshipped by great sages and learned scholars, because according to the philosophy of the absolute truth, the Lord and the tears from his eyes are not different. Just as drops of perspiration which fell from the toe of the Lord became the sacred Ganges, so teardrops from the transcendental eyes of the Lord became Bindu Sarovar. Both are transcendental entities and are worshipped by great sages and scholars. The water of Bindu Sarovar is described here as Shivamrita Jala. Shiva means curing. Anyone who drinks the water of Bindu Sarovar is cured of all material disease. Similarly, anyone who takes his bath in the Ganges also is relieved of all material diseases. These claims are accepted by great scholars and authorities and are still being acted upon, even in this fallen age of Kali. Yes, it's a question.
Prabhu, in 34th purport, Prabhupada is Srila Prabhupada is writing that Kardamuni could see Garuda taking Lord to Vaikuntha because he was a liberated soul.
Where does it say that he was a liberated soul? Kardamuni was a liberated soul. There was no doubt that he was liberated. Thus he could see Garuda carry. Liberated in the sense that he is on the pathway to liberation. Jivan Mukta,
Okay.
not Videha Mukta.
Okay, bro.
Punyadrama Lata Jalai Kujat Punyam Mrigad Vijay Sarvartu Phala Pushpadhyam Vanarajishyangvitam. The shore of the lake was surrounded by clusters of pious trees and creepers, rich in fruits and flowers of all seasons that afforded shelter to pious animals and birds which uttered various cries. It was adorned by the beauty of groves of forest trees. Lata Jalair Anvitam. Okay. It was filled with all creepers of pious trees and creepers, meaning the shore of that lake. It is stated here that Bindu Sarovar was surrounded by pious trees and birds. As there are different classes of men in the human society, some pious and virtuous, and some impious and sinful. So also among trees and birds, there are the pious and the impious. Trees which do not bear nice fruit or flowers are considered impious. Birds which are very nasty, such as crows, are considered inauspicious, or considered impious, sorry. In the land surrounding Bindu Sarovar, there was not a single impious bird or tree. Every tree bore fruits and flowers, and every bird sang the glories of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, what? I see some question here in the chat box. What is this? Our students complain that when they see even deities, they get lost. That means they must be engaging in sinful activities. They must be engaging in forbidden activities. If one does not engage in any of the forbidden activities and engages only in Krishna consciousness or in pious activities with which one can sustain oneself, then how this kind of peculiar problems will come? It means excessive lust. And the reason for excessive lust is because when we engage in all these forbidden activities, then it reaches Uchakatta, it reaches the summit of lust. Therefore, then every female becomes attractive. These people should just chant 64 rounds, 128 rounds, 120. People who are excessively materialistic cannot engage in Guni Bhuta Bhakti, Pradhani Bhuta Bhakti, and all that. They need to engage in Kevala Bhakti. That is why you see how Prabhupada engaged the Western devotees when he was preaching to them. He did not talk any congregation preaching, nothing of that nature. Simply engage in devotion service. Devotional service means the 64 items that were taught by Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu and described by Prabhupada in Nectar of Devotion. This is called devotional service. That is all. Just engage in this. That's all. When we engage in sixfold surrender, then we can get progress. Specifically pray to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, Dharmagna Prabhu, and say, how this. I think also it requires a regulated life. Basically, you need to have a proper regulated life, be in the right association. Otherwise, it's not simply just telling people to do.
Bro, we can't hear you now. Are you speaking something?
Can anyone hear me?
Now, yes. You were explaining something to Samapati Gauranga's question, and then suddenly voice lost.
So they should have a regulated life. Abhyasena cha kaunteya vairagyena cha grihyate. You follow dharma. If I don't follow dharma, then I cannot attain spiritual perfection. I cannot even attain freedom from lust, anger, greed. Should be trained. We also should follow. primarily through increasing the quality and quantity for chanting, and we should engage in other bona fide services. Okay, and then anyone who's engaged in Krishna consciousness or devotional service is already liberated from the influence of the modes of material nature. This refers to Avyabhicharani Bhakti. You can see that verse. It's in 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, text 26. Avyabhicharani. It has to be Avyabhicharani Bhakti, which means it's the same as Uttama Bhakti. Anyabhilashita Shunyam Jnana Karma Dinavritam Anukulyena Krishna Anushilanam Bhakti Uttama. So when I execute that, then I'll be liberated. Jivan Mukta Uchyate. Iha Yasya Hare Dasya Karuna Manasagira. Nikhilasopya Avastha. So Jivan Mukta Uchyate. Same thing will happen to you when you also engage in that. All of us should engage in devotional service of this type. We should help each other surrender to Krishna absolutely to come up to the standard of Rupa Goswami. Similarly, anyone who takes his bath in the Ganges also is relieved of all material diseases. Yeah, those who are faithful, previously it looks like people were very faithful, they were doing these things, they were relieved of all material diseases. We take bath, we don't get freed, means that we are not sufficiently faithful. Okay.
So then, how to be faithful?
We have to
And what is
develop
that faith?
faith by associating with those who have faith. Faith comes about by association. Okay, we have a few minutes more. Let's just continue. 41. Mattad vijaganair ghushtam, mattad bhramar vibhramam, mattad barhin natatopam, ahvayan mattakokilam. The area resounded with the notes of overjoyed birds. Intoxicated bees wandered there. Intoxicated peacocks proudly danced, and merry cuckoos called one another. Ghushtam, naditam, resounded. Mattabarhina evan nataha, tesham atopahan, tis sambhramaha yasmin star. Mattabarhin natatopam. Intoxicated peacocks proudly danced. Mithaha ahvayantaha mattaha kokilaha yasmin stam. And merry cuckoos called one another. This is all considered beautiful. In Vedic civilization, there's an understanding of what is beautiful. So these are all considered beautiful. When we are in Tamoguna, we do not even understand what is beautiful, what is ugly. Only when we come to Rajaguna, then you get a proper understanding of how things are designed by the Lord. The beauty of the pleasant sounds heard in the area surrounding Lake Bindu Sarovar is described here. After drinking honey, the black bees became maddened and they hummed in intoxication. Merry peacocks danced just like actors and actresses, and merry cuckoos called their mates very nicely. 42 to 43. What's the question here? Yes.
So we hear the example of Prabhupada that mantra, if you chant, that acts. Either you know the importance of mantra or you don't know. He gives the example of a child. If he touches the fire knowingly or unknowingly, it burns. Then where is the faith comes in the scene? If I take bath in the Ganges with faith or without faith?
No, because the process also includes attitudes. No, you have to have the right attitude. You need to have the right attitude. No? If you have the wrong attitude, it will not work. Some of the namaparad, some of the offenses in the chanting of the holy name includes having the right attitude about Vedic literature, about Vaishnavas, about the spiritual master, about demigods, about the nature of the holy name itself. So it's simply attitude. Attitude is a matter of the mind. Still, That is also part of the process. So somebody may accept it. All right, like Prabhupada says in the beginning of his introduction to Bhagavad Gita, if one theoretically at least one should accept Krishna as Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that like that, even if he theoretically accepts, okay, Ganga Devi has full potency to cure me, and if he does it, then it will work out. But if one does not even theoretically accept these things, then it becomes a problem. And no matter how many times it takes bath, I don't know, the effect will take much longer. There's one more question here. Yes.
Prabhuji, I know a person who is chanting Hare Krishna, but he doesn't believe that there is a person called Krishna existing. He doesn't believe in God itself. Just out of family.
Yeah, there are many people like this. Yes.
So they will get benefit after a long time or no benefit?
They'll probably degrade themselves. Yeah, you engage in sinful activities, you engage in forbidden activities, you cultivate forbidden conceptions, and then you engage in so-called service, then you will go down.
So should he not chant then?
Whether this person should chant or not. If he has come this much, why not? Why can't he do these things properly? That is how followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will think. Why can't he be rectified? The Mayavadi's prayers are more annoying to the Lord. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati used to say.
And Prabhu, one other sort of silly question. This is from 36th purport. When Swayambhu Manu Maharaj was going to search out husband, Prabhupada is writing, he loves her daughter so much, he himself is going instead of employing an agent. So someone will say that he should have, as a king, he must have utilized smarter ways to track down the husband. At least initially he should have sent some agent and later he can go personally. Otherwise, how he will know where to go?
How he knows where to go means what? He was coming to Kardama's place.
Beforehand, he was knowing about it.
Yeah, because Narada Muni already told. You'll get to know that later. You'll see.
Okay. Okay, bro.
Vidvan, 42, 43. All right, so we'll stop with that. Anshakalpitru Pasantu Bhyavachpati Tanam Pavani Pyo Vaishnu Pyo Namaha.